you are so busy, and it truly is. The only people that say that is your competition.
For sure.
Worked hard at everything I did, very competitive. Didn't like losing, still don't like losing. We are busy for a reason at the end of the day. There is a team behind us that is, in full support and giving us the ability to be that busy and still, provide results for whether it's a customer, a client, or a project.
But I think that's the point of this conversation, right? Is I'm trying to get people to understand who you are a little bit more in depth. We've been here for some time working on a project, a new listing that we're launching on market, which I'm pretty pumped about. Because I think you bring the analytic and the math side. I bring probably a little bit more of the art and the dreamer to the relationship. But we've known each other for a super long time. We're doing a secret announcement video in Exeter. We're standing in your office amongst the multiple companies that you own, trying to talk about the partnership, because I think there's people out there in the industry that are rattled when they saw that we joined forces, because you're a powerhouse, you have a well-established business. I'd like to think that we've built a little bit of a name for ourselves as well. So it's like, you would take two people that would naturally be competitors, and I wonder why there's an alignment there. And I can speak to why there's an alignment from my standpoint and why Shannon and I really thought this made sense. I'd like to hear from you though, like from a third party, you can be critical or just tell me whatever you think. Like, why did you join Prime in the first place, or why did this conversation even enter your brain?
Prime obviously gets mentioned a lot, when we talk to clients or potential clients about, what we do for marketing, for media, when we're in there, and they'll often refer to Prime as that brokerage that, what I've seen this put out by a Prime agent, or specifically Justin, and really what Prime's doing was something I knew that, on our end, it wasn't something that we could get to without, literally reworking our entire business, and there comes a point when, with everything going on, it might just be easier to use the resources and join up with a force that's already doing that and has already has the expertise and already taking those steps. Another thing too with Prime, similar to Brucefield, a huge listing, and knew that there was other agents, that we were competing against for the listing. I was in there. There's no better feeling for a buyer when they call us both and say, hey, I was either going with you or Justin, and this couldn't have worked out any better. You're now on the same team. Yeah. So it kind of was just the force of, like you said, what we could offer to clients, when we have, when we're essentially, they're getting two of us for, one essentially, and working under one roof with the back end team and everything that Prime offers. It's really a home run for our clients. So
I think in terms of so when you and I had interacted out there as competitors, one thing I always respected is, you came in with a drive and you really put all of yourself into your business, right? I'd see the hours that you worked. I remember we had talked, over the years in different ways, and you'd work long hours. You weren't afraid of working hard too. That discipline and that, did that come from sports? Did it come from how you were raised, or like, where did that drive come from to begin with?
I think it was definitely came from a combination of sports and everything, but mainly the environment you're raised in. Both my parents, very hardworking. I saw the hours that they put in when we were a kid. As kids, we knew they were gone. We knew they were working, tremendous hours to provide for us, for our families, and to ensure we were able to do what we wanted to do. So that definitely reflects in my work ethic as well. Still look up to both of my parents. Still lucky to have my mom join me after she retired, but. My father as well, both tremendous work ethics, and definitely that's where I get my work ethic from.
Where did you grow up?
Grew up in Exeter, been in Exeter and surrounding area my entire life. It's my roots. It's where I know everyone and where I'm most comfortable.
What were you like as a kid growing up?
Probably it would depend who you ask. Definitely could find trouble, but definitely worked hard at everything I did. Very competitive. Didn't like losing. Still don't like losing, but something that athletic, sports, involvement, big on friends, and socializing, and that kind of continues through to today.
So when your parents were building their business, what industry were they in?
My mom was in the school board, so she's a superintendent. My father was a manager at a manufacturing company, and in the construction sector.
Yeah, and I mean, when we were growing up, your parents were working, right? Like you'd be left to your own devices, you'd be out in the field playing, getting into trouble with your kids. Very different world than today. But that said, I think having parents that work hard, that's something that I've seen translated to their kids. And I think, did they hide a lot of that from you, like the long hours and the work, or did you see it just with them day to day?
We definitely saw it. Yeah, we had someone that came in to get us to school on time. Make sure our lunches were made. We had things like that as kids that we kind of could see, and I think for some people it might be hard to understand. It was never really hard for me to understand why it was going on, or my siblings. I have a brother and a sister.
So there's three of you.
There's three of us. Yeah, my brother, there's 1 year between us, and then my sister's 6 years younger. But no ever anything of why aren't mom and dad home. It was always that mom and dad are gone to so that we can do the things we enjoy. Spend time at our cottage on the water, and really enjoy kind of that aspect. So the work was evident in what kind of how we were brought up as kids, and what we were able to do as far as sports and traveling, vacations, stuff like that.
So I'm asking selfishly because I have a daughter, and I try to work really hard, and my wife runs the business with me. And I'm always trying to think of communicating with her why I'm doing what I'm doing, and also making time for stuff that isn't as important as I may think it is, to give her that time back. What did they do that you were growing up that you can remember instilled that confidence in you, that they had your back, that they were building a future for you while they were producing at a high level at the same time?
Provided for us, always, things that they did as far as, driving us wherever it was, taking time off, being able to take time off work early to leave for events, or, anything that really that we did as kids was essentially because they allowed us to do that, right? It was whatever it might be.
What is even like something important you were doing and then making time for it? Like you would remember that as a kid, right?
Yeah, I mean, hockey tournaments, hockey tournaments, baseball tournaments, golf, stuff like that. Everything we were doing. One of my parents were always there.
That's key.
Yeah.
I need to interview Jody on another full episode too.
Lessons.
But because it's hard as a parent, but it does matter because the kids remember those stories for the rest of their life. Right?
And you don't really you don't think to say it, or you don't know to say it at that age. But as you kind of grow up and kind of life becomes kind of full circle and you transition, you start to realize, this is, I am where I am today because of my parents, and I had someone to watch and look up to, and focus in on to show me what hard work was, what respect was, and everything, kind of to where we are today. So yeah.
So from how you were raised, I guess I want to transition to the business side in a second, but like, what would be 3 adjectives that you think matter most to you and like your core values going into your business?
Respect, honesty, and probably hard work.
Literally,
commitment.
I was going to say that.
Yeah. Commitment, drive. Those are all big things.
Yeah, because I think there's a lot of distractions in business, right? I think when you look at, again, we do the same thing. We look at other people that are doing different things, and we were with a social media manager yesterday who were great at creating visual assets. I post a boatload of content, but the one thing that I don't care to get into is learning her entire business. And we talked about potential partnerships where I'm like, I'd rather just create the beautiful visuals and stories and you make sure that they go out the way they're supposed to. And there's a value in me just paying her to do that or partnering up with her. I thought of it the same thing with you guys and this partnership, where like Prime isn't really a brokerage that cares about office count or agent count. Quite the opposite. I'd be happier to be smaller because I think we'd be more efficient. We'd make more money. But at the same time, when we had discussed with you over the years, and it was always this back and forth, the one thing I thought about when I thought of you is I'm like, man, this guy works hard, Every time I've dealt with him, he's been super respectful and very honest. And as I talk to other people, I talked to Taylor, Amanda, I talked to everybody about you, and they all said the same thing. I saw all the businesses that you were running, and I saw myself from the standpoint of when I started Prime and we started doing all the different asset classes and growing the teams. I was like, there's some systems and mistakes I've learned that I would have done massively different that I'd be happy to show you so that you can take that leverage and then keep creating the life that you want to create, right? I think that's where partnerships and finding people that you get to do life with the right way can make a huge shift.
Yeah.
That said, so you have your core values, those 3 words. What are your ambitions when it comes to business? And maybe give a little bit of background as to what do you do on a day-to-day basis and what are the companies you manage?
Yeah, I think our ambitions are changing every day as we grow, as the industries change that we're involved in. Day to day, we're doing some developing, so we're building some mid-rise apartment buildings and multifamily stuff. We have a small holdings of about 18 properties that are anywhere
It's not small
from
to some people.
Yeah, but in the big scheme, that are anywhere from basically a fourplex up to 20 units. We're looking at large scale projects now or larger in the 60 to 72 units. We have some of that right now that we're looking at. We've got some land conditionally bought that we're kind of in the planning and development stages on. We have we have a 24 unit building that we start digging next month.
Nice.
So the development side of things has kind of transpired, and because we have a couple under our belt now on a smaller scale, we're able to kind of understand it better and start to grow that side of things. So a lot of my time right now is focused on developing and building. I'm fortunate. One of my companies we have a construction company. We've got a great team there, so a lot of our work stays internally. We're allowed to control our goals. We have better, margins on stuff. We can understand where costs can, either we can save on costs or where, costs on a previous project have spiraled so that we know to not, make the same mistakes. The flooring and design company is something that's growing. We just bought our 3rd location in Sebringville, Allen Interiors. So we're very excited about that. That gets us in the world of custom cabinetry, kitchens, design. So we just took ownership of that last week.
So then you can control the product too, right? As you're
sure.
doing stuff, you're not relying on somebody else's process, and
Yeah.
it fits in with something you're passionate about.
Yeah.
Where social media management maybe doesn't. So
Yeah.
partnering with somebody like that, or videography and prime media, you guys don't want to learn what that looks like. You just want to hire somebody you trust to come in and do that for you, right?
Exactly.
So the group of companies, name them one by one.
So Baker Real Estate is where we're most active in. Then we have our holding company, Baker Holdings. That's all of our properties and our management side of things on our properties.
Yeah.
From there, our new construction, Lex Developments, that's where we're building mid-rise apartment buildings, looking at land development. That's on the new construction side of things. The actual day-to-day construction, Compro contracting, that is, where we're doing projects for other people, projects on our own, for our own stuff, and then Innovative Flooring and Home Design and Allen Interiors is the design side of things, and the kind of the interior portion of that construction.
So he's the only guy I've met, for the audio listeners, I'm looking at the camera, the only guy I've met that does focused diversification like we do at Prime. So one of the biggest things that my competitors would say about me is Justin does too much, or Justin's just a London agent, or he just does investments, or he lives where he lives, right? When I actually sit in front of a client, one of the most powerful things I tell them is the story of how we use focused diversification to their advantage. So we sell a lot of luxury homes, lakefront properties and developments and office buildings. So I use an example of a client that would need to find a small office and then grew his company and they need a bigger office space and they buy their own building. Then he sells the company, has a whole bunch of cash, buys a luxury home, and then has all that money from the business he sold and starts investing with us. And that, because we use focused diversification, we have the ability of touching such a wider audience of people. As you explain your companies, I think of bright-eyed, bushy-tailed, you get your real estate license, start selling houses, you start making cash, and you can make good money selling houses in real estate, but it's a transactional business. The most powerful thing in real estate is you get relationships. the relationships give you opportunities, then you start investing and you start building a portfolio and you start buying houses and a couple smaller buildings, and you're like, well, I can build a building if I get around the right person. Then you get into development, you learn how to do that, and then you're like, I need flooring, I need jobs that are completed, and I don't want trades not showing up on the job site, so I'm just going to hire them and I'm going to build a system. And I think that's really the story I wanted to tell in this podcast and in this video is the people that are watching this, that are seeing the things that you're doing, your competitors, the only thing they're going to say is he's too busy, and they're going to try and use that as a negative, when in reality, it's actually your biggest strength, because you've proven it when I walk through here that you can run an efficient team, deliver a quality product. And even when you were my competitor, you did it for me. I had the Jennison project, your guys helped me out on a deal you weren't even involved with. Like, they showed up, they got the job done, and I knew I could trust you. And I think that's the biggest thing I want people to understand in this partnership is I've seen and I've experienced that. I don't normally do expansion markets or even care about growing, but I see so much opportunity in the partnership from the standpoint that, like, I'm not going to own a flooring company, I'm not going to contract, and like, I'm very specific as to what I'm growing. And I think the alignment makes a ton of sense, because like, I want to help you tell your story and tell everybody out there that if you're thinking of buying, selling, investing in real estate, that if you like everything John just said of having systems, of having built-in contractors, and not to mention the network that you have in Exeter surrounding region, and you care about somebody that works really hard and is honest, the only thing you're second guessing is like, am I going to get the quality of service because of everything going on? I can tell you that from what I've seen systemized, yes. But I think us coming in and helping amplify the back end, and Jody's a weapon. She's off camera right now, and I'm going to interview her separately on another day. Her, from an onboarding perspective, I've onboarded 30 plus people at Prime. You show up to trainings, you sit there and you take notes as I show you the systems. You are more active on social media than people that are newer to the business, and you have such a thirst for understanding. I genuinely think with like the systems that we have to help you simplify all the things that are happening from a project management perspective, the joy that you're going to have in tackling client files is going to be amazing. Not to mention, I think the people that we have at Prime, like the other agents that cover this territory that are hungry for business, it's going to be great to feel like you can trust them. I genuinely think the only challenge you're going to have is not micromanaging, so that you can understand that the agent that's handling the file for your client, that's handling comms, opening doors, doing the things they need to do, is going to deliver the same quality of service. But I think what I'm pumped about for the partnership is the next 12 months of figuring out what does that look like, and like customizing your action plans with those agents that are handling your client files with you, or deals that we're partnered on, creating a custom solution that hits the standard that you want. And I think you're going to help me improve what we're doing, because it's messy and business is. And I think that we're going to push you out of your comfort zone to like let go a little bit and then trust the system, because I think you've done a lot in a very short time. But I also think that your energy needs to be spent thinking more on deep, complex problems and working on the systems and letting the team do most of the work. So.
I think back to the focus and with being busy in many projects or clients on the go and being too busy. It's funny when someone like myself looking at you and never thinking, oh, Justin's too busy, how does he ever handle it? Because what I know, because we have it here as well internally, is the team behind Justin that's running around and keeping things organized, giving him his critical dates and everything. It's such a misconception out there when people say that, you are so busy, and it truly is. The only people that say that is your competition.
For sure.
And it's the one up that they may have, or try to perceive that
it's not even an up. It's usually haters are confused admirers, and they wish they could be doing the thing that you were doing, so they just throw it out a shade to try and distract from explaining the actual system. And I would challenge anybody listening this, if that question enters their mind, just ask the person you're interviewing, how do you solve for this? And you said it absolutely. Like, building a great team, especially in today's market. People think it's easy to sell real estate, and I laugh because back in the day, it was you had a book, you showed houses, you did a contract, and that was the role of an agent. And they're like, well, now with technology, it's so much easier. I'm like, is it? Because when we do a video shoot, Man, we're spending hours in pre-production. We're doing a live stream, a TikTok, an Instagram, a reel, photos. Like it's like 15 extra things that we have to do because that's just the standard. And I can't imagine doing it without a team, just because to serve the client at the level they need to be served and stay on top of it, I would only be able to do 1 or 2 listings if I was an agent that was just by myself, right?
Yeah,
So
exactly. And we are busy for a reason. At the end of the day, there is a team behind us that is in full support and giving us the ability to be that busy and still provide results for whether it's a customer, a client, or a project. It's essentially the team behind that not everyone sees that is there working and allowing us to do what we're doing.
what do you look for in your team members? Again, 3 adjectives, core values.
Yeah, I think our team all has very similar values, and that is similar to mine, and I think that's why we gel so well. They got to be honest. The hard work has to be there, and the compassion for what they're doing, and then this is sincerity. So when they say they're going to deliver, or whether they're the project's delivered, the estimate's delivered, the service is delivered. So kind of those 3 adjectives very similar to mine, but the hard work, the teamwork, and the honesty, integrity is really what we look for.
And in terms of the Exeter real estate market, what do you see happening here in the next 5-10 years, just based on your insights?
Yeah, the Exeter real estate market, or Exeter as a town, is so close and similar to the other small towns of Lucan, Ildertons. Similar but so different in a way that because of our geographic location from London, those small towns are very dependent on the big city and being right there to London. So much commute, so much majority of people are driving back and forth to London. That's also probably why they've ended up in Ilderton or Lucan, out of the city, but still right there and enough to commute back and forth. Exeter kind of is its own island in that we have our own economy out here. We have great employers out here, and large employers. There's multiple employers in Exeter that employ over 300 people in these companies. A lot of them still family ran, but some corporate stuff as well. And some global companies. Hensel Co-op has is right here. They have jobs and employment and own property and real estate all over the world.
Sure.
Companies like that that really allows Exeter to kind of be out on its own. It's also why we haven't seen some of that growth, right away, or what the other smaller towns have closer to London in that proximity. So I think the growth in Exeter is not as rapid or as quick, but is going to far exceed and continue to grow and kind of in a stable condition, and over the next 5 to 10 years, we'll just see steady growth.
So I compare it to London. So London from like 2000 to 2017 was a flyover city, right? It was small, independent of Toronto, and people would go there, they get educated, they'd work. It had finance, it had everything, manufacturing, food processing, education, healthcare, all that stuff too. And then 2017 it popped because everything happened down to the GTA, and it was drive till you qualify, and it was like, well, where do we go? And Hamilton was kind of the end of it. Then you jump to London, and it started growing rapidly. You look at St. Thomas. St. Thomas was then the next jump because it was 15-25% cheaper. Now it's not. It's as competitive, if not more, than London. Yeah. And it's interesting because as I've been watching this market, and as we kind of partnered up and have been paying more and more attention, agriculture, manufacturing, distance to proximity to Kitchener, like the Brucefield project we're going to launch, like you're so close to Kitchener. And not only that, the Great Lakes, Goderich, Bayfield, Grand Bend, Port Franks, like the lifestyle and the quality is insane. And even from a logistical standpoint, like I'm going from here to the office, it's only 30 minutes to our office in London. It's only 30 minutes to Grand Bend. Like it's incredible in terms of an opportunity market, and the affordability is there all day long. And I think that it's got a ton of potential, and I think you're going to see a lot of people that look for opportunities in these markets to relocate business, and also affordability, right? Like I got a condo that I was going to talk to you guys about in a little bit. And the price point of what that thing is worth, it would be close to 800 grand if it was in London, but somebody can move here, get it at a price that, they can build a future. And I think the tertiary and secondary markets are going to become the primary markets. So in 10 to 20 years, I bet you we're talking about Exeter like we were in London back in like 2006 or 2007, right? So a lot of opportunity. There's an interesting component to your focus diversification. So I think of Prime, we do real estate and media. We build massive networks, global reach, and we have a worldwide referral network so that all those referrals come back to us. So we amplify all of our clients' sales. You come to our platform, you're getting 5 to 10 times the amount of reach as MLS. That's what we're dead focused on. I think you plug it into that's great, but I also think you on the construction side, being able to walk into a project and say, is this land developable? Can I build here? What can I build here? What's the after renovated value, or what's like my top end value that I can spend? How does that incorporate into the real estate side of your business?
I think it's huge, especially when when we're dealing with properties that there's a development component, there's a renovation component.
Yeah.
Looking at because we're in that field every single day. I'm with my construction team, daily, weekly, talking about budgets, looking at construction costs, looking at plans. How do we minimize costs here, or where's the value to spend money for us on the construction side? Allows me to then take that knowledge of what we've learned and then relate it to my clients when they're doing a project, whether it's a flip, whether it's a development. Here's where what we found here. Here's our how our results were on this project. This was a great return on our time and money. This was maybe not so much. So
Amazing.
It gives them where to spend money, where to ideas like that. So
Just like me telling you, just hire Nico to do the videos. I'll just show you where to not spend 25 grand of taking lifestyle photos, because that doesn't work. How do you tell the story of JB Corp, the other stuff that you're doing too, so that you attract those people that are like, yeah, I want somebody who's good at this. And on the real estate side, same thing, right? So I think that would be super helpful. So I got a question for you. In terms of obviously business, you like growing, you like challenges. I know you do a lot of community stuff as well too. How does that parlay into the work that you do, being in philanthropy as well? And I guess what type of stuff do you do?
We do a lot with it in the community, and I think it goes back to my roots and me recognizing what people did for me in the community as well, or whether it's having that hospital in the community that we're able to go to in a small town that many small towns aren't fortunate enough to have. So when we events like we actually just had the hospital gala this past weekend, it's important to myself and my team that we do everything we can to contribute to being able to keep that hospital running, so that whether it's someone on our staff, their kids, their parents, anything like that, they have that hospital to go to. Whether it's eventually my kids one day, having that hospital in the small town is so crucial. So stuff like that. And then I know we talked about sports teams and stuff.
Sure.
I mean, we whether it's a jersey, whether it's in the arena, we do our best to sponsor everything we possibly can to give back to the community and the volunteers and everything. That's a big thing. As business owners, it's very hard to volunteer our time and participate in that aspect of community events. But what we can do is with donations and some different things that way, we're able to help out the best we can.
For sure. And as much as they want your pretty face there, sometimes the money actually makes a huge difference.
That's right.
In that world, I mean, it's strained and from a healthcare perspective and everything too. So I'm sure it goes a long way. That hospital's a place we go to quite often as well too.
Yeah.
I accidentally drank a battery once, put it in my protein shake, thought I was going to die, and they took good care of me. So crazy story. So I'm shocked that we were able to actually sit down for an hour, given my schedule and your schedule. How does it feel to sit down without your phone ringing for more than 45 minutes at a time?
You're wondering what's going on, or what have we missed? But
did you die?
No, we're still above water.
I'm going to condition you. I'll push you out of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
You'll get there. I like the competitiveness too, right? I like the you want to be in control and kind of see what's happening too. I think there's some cool systems I can show you guys, so you can see what's happening without having to interrupt people's days or have your day interrupted nonstop. But I'm pumped too about Bruce Field and some other stuff that we're working on. So I guess we got to get out and get some work done. We're going to take a tour downtown and take a look at some of John's properties, because his signs are literally everywhere. His buildings are in Dashwoods are everywhere as well too.
Yeah.
So
Seaforth,
excited for the future.
Yeah.
Good?
Good.